And we're live. Good
Ooh,
evening. Welcome to the Between Three Beards podcast. My name is Tyler. I am here with my buddies Trey and Alan. Say hi, guys.
Hi-oh.
what's up?
We're going to cover a few topics tonight that might be a little distressing to some based on the graphic nature of the content. Be
Your
advised.
discretion is advised.
If you're
Trigger
sensitive to that,
warning.
hey, if you're sensitive to that type of content, be advised. But if not, then enjoy the ride. Because our first topic kind of jumps right in.
Ah,
And
ah, 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 ah.
we had recently, me
Ooh.
and Trey had just gone and seen the Black Phone, brand new horror movie that's come out. And yeah, Trey, let's what was your takeaway from that?
Dude, I loved it. I've been telling you about this. I was like, dude, this would be a good topic because honestly, I'm glad we did it because it didn't get a lot of traction over the weekend. It seemed like Top Gun Maverick is just beating every other movie's dick into the dirt still. I mean, that's fine. It's a great movie. Still haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean that
And
that
Elvis did good. Elvis, I think, took the. I still, I would like to see Elvis
yeah,
because these
yeah.
Who's the guy
bio.
that played him again? He looks really familiar.
Austin Butler. So get this. Have y'all seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yes.
He was
Oh, it's
one
been
of
a
the
long time, I think.
Manson. He was the Manson guy. One of the Manson guys.
Rex.
Okay. Yeah.
One of the cult members.
Okay. Yeah,
But
that I kind of figured that though, being that it is like midsummer, well, it is at midsummer actually in Sweden right now. That's kind of strange to say, but
That's a
um
fucked up movie.
yeah, it is.
that's a great movie.
Um
We're all
but
over the
yeah,
place now.
but
Right
yeah,
out of the
so
gates, boys.
yeah, Top Gun Maverick was like, people are gonna see that's a summer movie, but you wouldn't think a horror movie would do that great. But man, that movie is so good. It was twisted,
Yeah.
dark. I
It
I, I loved it.
It's of course it pull like if you watch the trailer, you're like I can see a lot of people are like, oh my god, this is just it, but more grounded. But it does its own thing. It pulls inspiration from a bunch of other movies. I think I mentioned, and I'm not going to give anything away, but I mean about a trailer. I mean, if you've watched the trailer, that's the premise of the movie. Like I think Alan had talked about it. It's based off a short story by Stephen King's son, right? Is it
Yeah.
stepson or son?
No, it's his son. His name's Joe Hill.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember
Uh,
he did several books, but I don't think they had the traction that, of course his father has.
Yeah, it's really interesting concept, man, because it's very grounded in a way that it's like really intense, but it flirts with the paranormal side, and I like how it did that because it makes it seem like it didn't over the top or it didn't BS, like it's believable, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, it
Oh
wasn't
But
yeah.
like too
very just
much.
very good horror movie, man. And like I said, directors, writers, studios need to take notes from this. And this was a big win for the horror movie franchise, and of course, Ethan Hawke was Ethan Hawke doing his thing. He was amazing, and all the kid actors, the younger actors in it, actresses were awesome. It was a really good movie. Had a good soundtrack too, but
Yeah,
very creepy.
yeah.
Very, if you're wanting to go see a good horror movie, definitely check this one out. And me and Tyler took our boo things with us, and I don't know how Abby is. She's probably like kind of like, okay, I'm down, but I had to like persuade Mackenzie. Anytime it's any kind of horror genre, I have to persuade her. I was like,
Oh, for sure.
listen, can we go get Mexican before? I'll buy
You got a
dinner. Just
beta.
go see. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta bait him into
And
it.
she
Yeah,
loved it,
yeah.
dude. It's a good movie. It's not the jump scares work really good. There's a handful, but they're not the cash grab jump scares like you know
Yeah.
someone come up behind another character and touch them on the shoulder. It's like, oh, it's you, or something like that, or a dog knocking over, its food bowl or some shit. It's like it's
Right.
good, like oh, it like kind of takes your breath away, jump scares. But man, it's a very unsettling movie. Very good. Ethan Hawke's awesome. Has an awesome concept. But yeah, if dude, I'm just so glad horror movies are like on a consistent path of being good and not absolute shit.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's probably the biggest takeaway is that like horror is back where it needs to be.
Yes.
I
Um,
mean, it's just crazy that the stint we went through of just kind of the same thing we were getting from all these horror movies, and then like people started remaking some of the older stuff like it turned out great, but like you got to come out with, new material for, horror movie
Yeah.
fans that love the old stuff, like the 80s stuff. That was like the best, and they just haven't done it.
Yeah,
But
Yeah,
you kind
man.
of have
this finally
to
scratched that itch, I think.
coalesce both the old crowd and with this new generation as well. That's something that's very hard to do.
Yeah, it is. Because we got the younger generation that's more into, they're not into, those slashers like we
Hmm.
used to watch back, in the 90s and stuff like that. But like they want to see these over the top, crazy, like the Saw movies, like this crazy contraptions. Like I never got all that.
I tell you what, like I was speaking to you about this, but the paranormal activities, dude, it was just like a puppy mill when it came to those. And it's like the first
Yeah,
one, this, and then it's just the found footage shit. It just got played out. I'm glad
it
like the
did.
found footage stuff is kind of like okay, this isn't working. And then I think the Aster did Hereditary, then he did Midsummer. He set the Jordan Peele's another example,
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
Get
Jordan
Out
Peele,
and
he was a part of Midsummer as well. Yeah,
yeah, and doing well, he did Get Out, and then he did oh my god, what's the name of it? Where the family, oh dude, it's simple. I can't.
Yeah,
I just drew a blank.
Get Out. It's Us.
Yes, man, I just love the direction horror movies are going in. It's just like they're not trying to, and it's just not rinse and repeat with remakes. You remember like late 2000s, they just had all these just really mediocre remakes, like with the Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm
Oh,
Street. And it was
God,
like
yeah,
they were just shitting on the originals.
yeah.
pretty much.
They were playing out like classic movie franchises. They were just playing them out. So like for
Yeah.
instance, Halloween with God knows how many remakes it had. You know,
Well, the Rob Zombie did it. I mean, I
yeah,
get he kind of put his thing on it, but at the same time, it was just like I felt like it was on some of the stuff and it was just really unnecessary. I'm like, dude, this isn't like what
yeah,
the original. What was so good is a really low budget. I
very
mean,
low budget.
so
I think
it
they had
was
like
so
three
low
hundred thousand
budget
dollars.
that they had to choose between two masks. Right? I don't know. This is just a movie history, Alan. I'm sure you know this, but
Hmm.
when John Carpenter's trying to figure out the mask, it was either between a clown mask, kind of like what I think he was wearing as a kid in the opening
Hmm.
scene,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and the other
was.
one was a William Shatner mask. And they went with that, cut out the Oz, and spray painted it white. I think they kept the hair brown, and that's it was a
Yeah, that
William
was
that's
it.
it,
Star Trek.
man.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
they
how low
walked
of a
out.
budget.
Yeah, they walked out with both masks and to the crew, and they're like, okay, we're gonna pick the mask. And the clown, they're like, okay, yeah, no, that's kind of spooky, that's scary. And they said as soon as they walked out with that white mask on, they were like,
Yeah. Oh,
that
it's
is our guy.
iconic, dude. It's iconic. I mean,
Yeah,
and then like there was some sequels where they changed the mask up and it was terrible. Like I remember in one of them, I think it was
yeah,
four, they gave him eyebrows and it was just like, why? it just looked terrible, man. And
yeah,
then Rob Zombie had his, oh yeah, I love Rob Zombie. Like I like House of Thousand Corpse. That's just like
Yeah.
it's just in your face, but it's cool. But it's Halloween. I like certain aspects he went with, but I felt like it was too much like in your face stuff. Does that
yeah,
make sense?
yeah,
Yeah.
With this 2018 one, I really like because they draw inspiration from the original. Like when he's walking around, you're looking through his mask and the heavy breathing, and like the
right,
whole, like when he pops up, that whole screeching sound.
yeah,
Like I love that, dude. That's what I love about the original. And Rob Zombies was just more like, just grungy,
Yeah.
bloody.
yeah. I
The
mean, it kind of
second
played
one,
on that.
God.
It played on the mask part of it too much, I think, because it's like, oh, this kid's, he's, like addicted to mask, like having a mask on, and he shows a guy, Danny Trejo walks in the cell to get him, and there's like
Oh my
a
God.
thousand masks on the wall. And it's like, oh my God, like,
He was huge, dude. He was giant.
yeah.
Like, I was like,
And
what? He
Some people,
was.
and that's the thing is in the normal Halloween, he was the normal like 5'10" guy,
Mhm.
just a normal build dude. But yeah, in that
Uh,
one he was a mad like a giant.
some people that are speculating that the mask actually has some kind of not really demonic powers, but like something that makes him impervious.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like where the sequels went off to. They kind of just went way up there with the whole cult, and he was, yeah, it just kind of went crazy. And 2018 one was like, okay, all right, so after the original Halloween, was it 78? It came out, correct? I think
Uh,
it's 78. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I
Pretty
think
sure.
you're
Um,
right because they
uh,
did it set it in the same year as
yeah,
what
So
the movie
well,
was.
like when the 2018 was done, it was like, okay, pretend like all those sequels just never happened, and it's like 40. I love the aspect, but of course, there's a couple things I had a problem with, like just some like why they do that, like that was like the whole new Doctor Loomis they kind of threw in there. I thought was
Yeah.
like a okay, that was unnecessary. I could have done without that. The Halloween Kills, man, I enjoyed it, but it just was like I felt like it was more of a comedy. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how to explain it. Like
They did try to throw some comedic parts in there, and I did kind of feel that was a
it was all right.
little.
I do. He goes to town killing people, though. I mean,
Oh yeah. It
I mean, I just felt like they took a step back with that one, like a big
they
step
yeah.
back.
I think the comedic parts were maybe a little bit misplaced, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they
They're trying to
definitely
reach
were
your shit.
creative.
Yeah.
But I like the 2018 one. I was like, hell yeah, this is given. This is. I was happy. I was like, because I love Halloween. That's like my favorite. Like I
Yeah.
love Michael Myers. I love the whole like when it's Halloween, October hits, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm ready to put on some Halloween,
Right.
You're
Not
like
only that,
all
but it's
about it.
also my birthday. So
There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Uh,
That's perfect.
but yeah, we need more movies like Black Phone, man. And
Agreed.
I hope this character, the Grabber, is kind of set up as like maybe you're gonna see people dress up as him for Halloween with his different masks. Like he
oh
has some
yeah,
dope
that
masks,
mask.
bro. I love
Yeah.
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, you did.
It
And
was
that I
good.
think that will be big. But, we kind of touched on this talking personally, but like I think that kind of branched off of a lot of real things that happen, and that's what I like the most in that
Well, that's
horror
what they're
genre.
doing now.
Right.
They're actually doing research,
Right.
uh, whether it be fact or fiction, and kind of just actually doing the work, and just instead of just slapping this blood and gore motif, they're actually coming up with an original or true story, and that's what I myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people, that's what we want to fucking see, man.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
agree.
Yeah, I mean, really, in the Black Phone, how much blood and gore really was there? Hardly any.
Well, it's so unsettling.
Yeah, you
That's
didn't
and
need
I
it.
had a good conversation the other night. My buddy I play with, y'all know him as Gamma Freak. Shout out. He was like, he's asked. This is a
Ultimately.
good question. We can bring this up. He was like, man, what is a movie that terrified you as a kid? I was like, shit. And the first, like, one that came to mind was the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it had like no gore,
Yeah.
but it was just so unsettling. Like the setting, it felt real. It felt like that. Felt like they were actually had a camera out in the late 70s filming this, and it's
Yeah.
just like very unsettling. Just like no, there's no gore, but like and it happens during the day. That's what's crazy. Most of it's during the daytime,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like being chased by a guy wearing skin on his face with a chainsaw, and it's terrifying. you
Yeah.
know, that was one of the ones that then another one was The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. God, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just like it's so isolated in the cold Alaska, and I just all the body horror in that and the
That's currently
practical
in theaters
effects.
now.
Is it?
Yeah,
Uh,
well, it is up here.
I want to say that's probably my overall top, my favorite horror movie, man. That is, it still holds up so good with even
Yeah,
with
a
all the
lot of people it's their
practical. Like,
favorite.
I mean,
oh
honestly, I would say for me, it was probably the original It.
oh yeah,
Just
Ooh,
because not because of the clown aspect, but because of like, I don't know, man. Like Stephen King, he just right he like he's got a demented mind. Like how he sets things up, and like they did the movie as close that they could to the book, and that's The Shining was another really good one. And it's just
yes.
like, dude, it just makes you feel so uncomfortable.
Well, that's a good comparison. Like, I'm not saying that Black Phone is better than The Shiner. That's a comparison, but like the psychological aspect, like it's very unsettling. That's what I like
Right.
to get out of a horror movie. Like The Shining's a good example. Like, yeah, there's part with all the blood coming through the elevator. I guess you can say that's gore, but there's not like people getting mutilated, cut up, and it's
Yeah.
just it's the psychological aspect, man, and
well,
like him going crazy, losing his shit, and bashing down the bathroom door. Like that's some scary shit.
I
Yeah.
mean, like uh, King, wrote that book from staying at the Stanley Hotel in that one specific room.
Right. Yeah.
And Stanley Kubrick, he kind of did his own spin on it, which Stephen King did not like at all. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, I think that's what with Pet Cemetery, he didn't want to make that movie, but they said he said, "Hey, if I can be in it, then we'll make it." And
Yeah,
he shows up as the pastor or the guy at the funeral, of the kid. So like he just makes his little cameo
Um,
appearance,
I'll give
and
you
he
some
does
pop.
in the new one. In the new It, he makes a cameo as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's at the store, right? The kid's
Yeah.
wanting to buy the bike.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. I'll give you some pop culture factoid history. You know, in the original Pet Cemetery, who the guy was that played the was he like the farmer, the dude with the overalls?
Yeah. I can't
The guy that
remember his
plays
name. I know it's like real country
That's
sounding.
fucking Herman Munster, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
Kevin Mustard, yeah.
yeah. I can't remember his name, the actor's name.
I can't think of his name either, but I just know him as Herman Munster.
Yeah, he's a good
Well,
actor,
yeah,
man.
Munsters was good shit. Then
He's the
Rob
damn
Zombie's making that. He's probably going to shit all over it.
he's the damn
Like,
the judge from My Cousin Vinny.
that's right.
Yeah.
A couple of Utes. What's a Ute?
What's a Ute?
And yeah, I can talk about. So I'm not like a horror movie. Like I haven't seen every horror movie, but I like good ones. Like I'm not going to waste my time watching some woke horror movie, cancel culture bullshit. Like,
Right. Well,
like what they put on Netflix.
right, and that's what I want to kind of stem into off of that is like what they're trying to emulate. And I think this is what they need to like move towards because Netflix has been doing a really good job with the documentaries on these guys.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're talking about like the Candyman, Dean Coral, and he
So
had
yeah,
the two kids that were like accomplices, and then the one ended up. I think Henley was the one that ended up killing them at the end.
It was in Houston, I believe.
Yeah, Houston, and
Yeah.
he was like what 28 minimum. They don't know a real number of how many kids and young men he killed. It was they just said at least 28
yeah. For
total.
viewers watching, we definitely recommend the confession tapes. Is that what they're calling Netflix? They got Ted
Yeah.
Bundy, John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah,
But
there's a bunch
also,
of
if
them.
you have the A&E app, there's a really good. I think it's like a 3 or 4 episode. It's called The Clown and the Candyman, and it's like talks
It's like
about.
both of
I
them.
think it's like a conspiracy around it because there's like a whole sex ring going on, and I don't know. It's like it's crazy stuff, man. But yeah, it gives you as some like I said, use this word a lot, unsettling, but that's what it is. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
mind blowing to know this stuff was happening. It's not that long ago. I mean, we're
yeah,
talking not even 50 years ago, 40 years ago. You know, or
Yeah.
in our parents' heyday when they were teenagers, all this crazy stuff was
yeah,
happening.
yeah, pretty much 67 to about 75. That was like the prime time
Man, I mean,
for all of that.
you had more in the late 70s through the 80s.
Yeah,
Had some crazy stuff in the 90s, but yeah.
it's
Really,
just
really check out these good serial killer documentaries. It's good stuff.
yeah. I kind of looked into that a little bit too because the black phone really did remind me a lot of Candyman, just the way that the van, like he's
Hmm.
trying to lure these kids in.
With he's saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm a part-time magician."
Yeah,
His
yeah,
giggle, bro. His giggle was
right.
good. Ethan Hawke is such a good actor,
I
man.
love
Like,
Ethan
And
Hawke.
yes.
but that's the thing though is I never even knew this, but Dean Coral, he served in the military and was like an exemplary, soldier, but he absolutely hated it. And he said that's what like made him become homosexual. And he
Hmm.
hated it
Jeez.
because of that. And he when he came back, he's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna get out of that. I'm gonna be the vice president of this candy company. And then he
Yeah.
just got this urge, just like, okay, well, I just want to,
It was all a front. You know, he was
yeah,
big in the community. Everyone just loved him. Thought he was the nicest guy. They didn't realize he was doing all this crazy stuff. Like had kids in his basement,
yeah,
like bound, torturing them, and it was dude, it's terrible stuff. Really dark, twisted stuff. It's just like Jesus. Like, how do you like? How does that happen? Like, it's just like how does human being get so low? And like, how did
Well,
they? And they don't have remorse. That's what's crazy. We're talking about John Wayne Gacy. Like, he had no remorse. He just like
no,
was so arrogant about everything. Was like, like, hey, what do you got on me? You don't know that I actually committed these. Like, you don't have my DNA. Like, they didn't have DNA evidence back there. He was like,
right,
I don't know anything about these bodies down there. Like, yeah, I got bodies under there, but what do you. And to the day he still up to his execution, he was just still like pleading his innocence or just very
yeah.
arrogant about it
yeah,
Well,
because he was such a high up in the community.
I think it's just a dichotomy of the army made him that way, and he hated it, but he also hated himself for being that way.
right, yeah,
And he was one of the few that was like that. I mean, I guess you can throw in what's his name, that huge dude, the from in
huge,
California, that
The
really,
co-ed killer, Ed
yeah,
Kemper.
co-ed, yeah, Ed
yeah,
Kemper,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He knew what was wrong with him,
That is some crazy
and
shit, dude. His interviews are crazy.
yeah,
they, and Ed Kemper is an extremely intelligent human being,
Yes.
and he hated the way he was treated.
Yeah.
He knew
Yeah.
what he was doing,
Yeah, I
but he
mean,
still hated himself at the same time. But
right.
the one thing that really was gnawing at him is his mom.
Yes. He
Yeah.
hated that bitch and
He
her
hated that bitch.
trap.
And damn.
Well, and that's the thing too is a
Oh.
bunch of these guys they stem from the same thing. It's like an early age, they're
Hmm.
either forced to do something or they're brought up a certain way, and then
Hmm.
that's what they focus all their energy and pain and evil on. And then when that is gone, they have nothing to like lash out towards.
Yeah.
So they just say, okay, well, what do I do now? And then killing men or boys or whatever that fills that void. And that, I
And a
mean,
lot of
it's
them
just
they can just switch it off like that and just be
right.
a regular human being.
Well, that's the thing with John Wayne Gacy and the Candyman. Like, so because his upbringing as a kid, like I think I mentioned this to y'all. Like his upbringing, like in the documentary, does such a good job. Please check it out on Netflix. The Confession Tapes is so well done. His upbringing as a kid, he could just never live up to his father's standards. Like I think his brother, did he have a brother? Can't remember, but like that was his big thing. And then he was bi. That was the thing with him. Like he
Yeah.
wanted a wife and kids. He loved the family picture. But at the same time, he had his drives of
Right.
he wanted to do crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And back then that was taboo. You know what I mean? 70, this is not that long ago, 60s, 70s, what he was into was like taboo. Like he was into younger boys, wanted to do stuff
Right.
and all that. And that's what I think led to him. Like it was like a drug. Like it was like doing it over and over. It's like I can get away with this. I'll just fucking bury my crawl space.
Well,
And
and that's the thing too with him. He, he was a part of the Waterloo, Iowa JCs, which is
yeah,
they're kind of like, like it's for younger boys and men to kind of get into the idea of like management skills and community
Mhm.
service and connections and to
It's
kind
like
of like
Boy Scouts without nature, pretty much.
yeah, yeah, it's like to grow your status in society basically, and he was all about that, and he treated it like, he was a politician basically. He was wanting
yes,
to rub arms with
dude,
politicians.
he shook hands with the first lady
Yeah,
as he had numerous boys buried under his
yeah,
crawl space.
yeah.
It's
But
crazy.
that's what made him the way he was. He just thought, hey, I'm this important person. You can't touch me. Like
Exactly.
such a narcissistic,
Very.
egotistical, like it was just he thought that, oh, I'm so important that, it doesn't matter if even if you found bodies under my
It-
house, like
yeah.
we'll get this cleared.
Even when his walls were closing in, and dude, when they bring the attorney into the documentary, it's so good because the attorney's like, John, dude, like, why'd you not tell me this shit? Like, I don't know what
Right.
I'm gonna go on. And
Yeah.
he's just so arrogant up to the end. I don't know if it's true. This is like a whole myth, but apparently, when going to do his execution, the lethal injection, one of the guys that was there in the crowd, one of the detectives, whatever, they were like asking, like, hey, you got any last words or anything? I think what he said was like, kiss my ass or something like that.
Yeah, I
I
think
was
you're
like,
Something
right.
like that.
shit.
Yeah.
It's such a good watch, though, man. I really, if you can stomach it, it's just
Yeah.
really
I mean,
it's
that one
sad.
does
It's more sad because these kids just had their lives in front of them, and it's just
right.
they trusted this guy to go work for him, and then he's like playing handcuff tricks on them in his weird house with his. Dude, you see his hallway in his house? That is
Yeah.
some creepy shit. All the
Yeah.
it's like you're in a
Clowns
freaking fun
everywhere.
house.
Yeah. That's I don't even like smell to
Oh,
begin with.
and he had a clown like portraits, like painted pictures of clowns everywhere framed. I'm like,
Yeah.
Hmm.
dude, this is the shit of nightmares, bro.
It
Oh
really
yeah.
is. I mean, that's the thing though, is the one kid that he didn't understand what he was doing or
No.
that like what happened. No, talking about this one kid that we were the
The one that escaped.
yeah, well the wrestler that he let go
Yeah.
Yeah, because he
and
beat
he
him at his game.
yeah, he beat him at his own game. He got the handcuffs on him. His name was Anthony Antonucci,
Hmm.
and they were interviewing him, and he's like, I didn't know at the time. I thought, like this guy's weird, but like I know I can beat him, and he did, and he got let go, and he didn't realize at the time, like, dude, you just escaped a serial killer. Like, you don't understand what
Yeah.
the magnitude of what you just got out of.
Yeah.
Wasn't
It's
there
so
a gun
crazy.
involved?
Yeah, I think he had a gun, and then he said, "Hey, I want to show you a stag film," and
That's right. That's right.
and then they watched or whatever, and then he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna show you this handcuffs trick." him being a good wrestler, he's like, I'm not gonna let this dude like manhandle me. So he took him down, got the handcuffs and put him on him, and thought it was like all in good fun. And he's like, "Ha, you're the only one that's ever got the handcuffs on me."
No, I think he like submitted him, dude. Like he got on top, like he fucked him up. Like, oh my
Yeah,
god, why'd you not? Well, he didn't know, but he's like, should have killed him.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But, like there's some you can like you really want to talk like look into there, but watching the documentary, I'm like, this dude's just an overall piece of shit. Like he doesn't
right.
have any, just an arrogant piece of shit.
Yeah,
That was,
there was no conscious there. It was just plain
I want to say there was
evil.
bodies buried under his not a fire pit, but like something to smoke
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, it
I want to say
was.
there was bodies buried under that, and he had like a huge. He'd have huge parties. He'd
Yeah,
have them like 4th of July. He would dress up like it was 1776, like with his stuff on. Have invite all these politicians, like people within the city over.
Yeah.
He's cooking this big pig, and there's kids buried under it. I
right.
think that if
Yep.
I'm not mistaken, they ended up digging that up and found bodies under that.
Yeah, you're right. And he had the kids build it. It was a
That's
barbecue
right.
pit.
I think he buried him.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah,
buried. He like had them dig so deep, and if I'm not mistaken, I could be, but or they thought that, but they completely excavated the whole place, and I mean, dude, it was
yeah.
God, it was
They
crazy. I
just
mean,
kept finding bodies. Like
yeah,
the number just kept going up.
and they're still, dude, they still have not ID'd all of them. Like it's so
No,
hard
yeah,
because they didn't have any DNA. I mean, there's so many they haven't ID'd because there were sex workers that he'd pick up in downtown
yeah,
that just were
uh,
runaways and stuff that didn't.
yeah. I mean, it was
They can't.
Chicago in the like late '60s, early '70s. So yeah, it was a hard time to be a young gay man, I guess, in that time period.
Well,
Yeah.
and also back in the day, the technology wasn't there, so some
Mm-mm.
of these bodies were so badly decomposed. There's no fucking way.
Right.
And one thing we talked about was when they talk about in the documentary, a lot of these detectives, when the parents go to them, they're just like, oh, he probably skipped town, moved out west. Kids
Yeah.
run away, or kids of that age run away all the time. And parents are like, no, my son would not do that. Like that's
Right.
not him. Like he's fucking missing. Pardon
Yeah.
my language, but I mean, it's like it's a serious, thing. Like, hey, no, like look for my kid. Dude, I just couldn't imagine being a parent of one of those kids. Like, and the cops just like, nah, he probably ran away. They do that all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
no.
especially at that time too, because police offices and like just police in general, they weren't talking to one another from county to county or state to state. They were all just, okay, what's going on in our county? What can we control? They weren't like,
Yeah.
oh, there's kids missing in the next county that this guy might be traveling over there
The
to
only
get
time
them.
that they would actually do that is when the FBI was involved, and at that time, the FBI was still brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And also, sex workers were a big thing too because they would go missing, and they still, some of them still had loved ones,
Right.
and
Yeah.
they'd gone missing, and their loved ones would go to the police. It's like, where's my so and so? I was like, it's a sex worker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not worth it.
Considered lesser thans. Is
Exactly.
what that I mean, it's what it was. It's hard to believe, but, like, yeah, that was like like Trey, you were saying is, you know, 50 years ago or less, and, there was still that happening. There's people that were considered lesser than people that if they went missing or they just showed up dead somewhere, then that was like, "Oh, well, that wasn't that bad because it was a sex worker."
Yeah, swept underneath the rug.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wanted to cover that topic pretty thick because, that movie had just come out,
Yeah.
and
It's like,
it rem
and you tell where it draws inspiration from all those.
Right.
That's why we're getting into this because it like draws inspiration. Great horror film. Like, definitely. If you've already seen a bunch of movies this summer, I mean, of course, I can't recommend over like Top Gun or I'd probably recommend over Elvis. I haven't seen Elvis. I want to see Elvis.
Right.
I need to go see that, but I would recommend it over Lightyear.
Yeah, yeah. I
Just
mean,
because Tim
I
Allen's my buzz. I mean, I like Chris Evans, but no, he's not my
yeah.
buzz.
He's not
He's
my
not
buzz.
my buzz.
Mm-mm.
Well, that was my favorite time of Elvis when he first started out in Memphis. Like that kind of like not really ragtime. It's kind of like a two step like back in the day.
Yeah.
It was really It was really contagious, and then he stemmed off to being all like the whole like shades with the
Dude,
chest
that's my
hair.
favorite, bro. In the
Right.
I can't
jumpsuit
stand
and
that
doing
shit.
karate, sweating his ass off from all the
Hell
coke and
yeah.
alcohol. And did he have a pet monkey? I know Michael Jackson did, but he's like, "Yeah,
Oh,
man,
I
this is
don't
my
know.
little chimp right here, little
I
Elvis
don't
Jr. He's gonna do some karate with me."
I can't remember if he had a monkey or not. Yeah, like, I know, like you
Bro,
said,
that was
Michael
my
Jackson
favorite
did.
Elvis. Like coked out on
Oh my
pills,
god.
everything, and just sweating his ass off in his videos, doing karate.
That's great.
I
Yeah, I
love
can't
Vegas
remember if he did
Elvis.
have the monkey, but that he
69 comeback
I
was
wouldn't
good
put it
shit too,
past
in all
him.
black.
Well, yeah, I wanted to go ahead and cover that pretty thick.
Mhm.
Um, there was another one that I did want to bring up before we take a quick break. We're going to take a quick break here in a few minutes, and then we'll come back. We're going to do a part two on this episode. But yeah, I wanted to also talk about the another good Netflix documentary that I didn't even really know that much about, and it was the Torso Killer, which is like
Oh
Richard
yeah,
Cottingham out of New York.
yeah.
Was
He
that?
killed a lot of. That was the dude that killed all those like prostitutes and stuff in New
Uh-huh.
York and New Jersey, and he was working at this engineering place, and they were like, "Hey, I think this is a guy," and he was telling them, he's like, he like even wrote down a map places he had picked up girls and stuff, and the guy was just like, "Nah, it can't be him." And like he has a good job, he's a white dude, like can't be him.
I think he was
And that
married,
just
right?
yeah, and that just shows you like the profile. Like if you were just like a person who had a job and was you were doing okay for yourself, well for yourself, then you really didn't have to worry about it. You could get away with murder, literally.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
speaking of that, I did not know Times Square was like. I knew it had its spots, but dude, Times Square was like the Wild West in the
Yeah,
'70s with all this like peep shows and all that stuff. I
yeah,
mean, that's
massage
all it
parlors.
was. That's all it was
Yeah,
just in your
Well,
face. Taxi Driver is a great movie in
yeah.
representation of that.
Yeah. I think that was his first film, wasn't it? Or one of them? Robert De
Ro-
Niro?
yeah,
Yeah.
I know wasn't it Martin Scorsese's first? Wasn't that his directional
It was
debut?
somebody. It was somebody's first gig.
I
Yeah.
was no, I think Robert. I think Godfather came out. When he in Godfather Part Two,
Oh.
I think it came out before Taxi Driver. That's something good to look up. Robert De
yeah,
Niro's
yeah.
film
Because
debut. I want to
well,
say it's
he
Martin
was in
Scorsese's directional debut.
yeah. Because I mean that kind of set the stage for Scorsese as like the mafia like director guy.
We're going in a good direction because speaking of that, we're talking about Times Square Killer. But if you want to that's a great documentary. Check on Netflix. And then if you want to see a movie that revolves around that era, check out Taxi Driver. Then after you watch Taxi
Yeah,
Driver, watch Joker because Joker pulls a lot of inspiration from Taxi Driver.
yeah,
Where we're getting at with the black phone, how it draws inspiration from all these other horror movies. I'm like, dude, I
yeah,
love it because it's not like a copy and paste, but it's like I respect that, you know?
yeah. Well, it kind of it draws you into that place of okay, this is the face of what these people were like, or like how this is built, and it stems back to like the mental aspect of just being like forgotten about as like as a person, and then
Yeah.
they come back and they want to, you know, get their revenge on society, and that's how they do it. It's like
Hmm.
I'm gonna make people disappear,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever their sick mind comes up with, but and that's where it stems from. It's crazy.
Wasn't the reason why they called him the torso killer is that he would obviously he would dismember the bodies, but wouldn't he would hold on to the torso in his apartment and just keep it there, and he would store the arms, limbs, the limbs and the heads like in a barrel. He would put them like in barrels, and then he would throw them in the river or something. Is that right?
I think some of
Not
them he did, but they started calling him Torso Killer because of the his first victim. All it was a torso, and it was on a burnt bed in a hotel.
it was two
Um,
bodies. They
Yeah,
didn't or he
and
set like he cut the hands off and set them up on top of like the headboard of the bed or like a
yeah,
shelf above it or something like that. But
he
no,
cut
he
the
wouldn't put them in barrels. I think that's someone else. But yeah, he would end up. I don't know if he was keeping the heads and stuff though. I
He
think he
did.
was just did he?
Yeah,
No,
he well, the
I'm
first
thinking of
2.
somebody else. I'm thinking of Harvey. It started with an M. Like he just confessed. He's been in prison for decades, and I think he's like 80 years old now. Now he's finally confessing on what he
Okay.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well, Richard Cottingham, he was, that was basically his first, well, not his first victims. Those weren't his first victims. Those was the first victims that New York police found, and, so he tried to cover his tracks, so he cut their heads off in their hands and took them with him and then tried to burn the bodies. So all
okay.
they had was a torso to go with, so they called him the torso killer.
Gotcha. Okay.
But he didn't do that to everyone. I think
Yeah.
most of them he would stuff in his trunk and then take to his apartment or something and, hide them. But yeah, he would go and pick up mainly prostitutes for that. But yeah, I mean, I knew this subject would get pretty heavy pretty quick just because of the subject matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I kind of wanted to get into. Yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna be back. We're gonna swap, kind of jump around to a different subject. I know, Alan, that you have some uh, news coming out of a future SEC team in Texas that's going to be getting
Mhm.
Arch Manning. So yeah, we got some news and some sports things to talk about, and
Absolutely.
we'll be back here shortly. You guys stay tuned. Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, we're back for part 2 of episode 4. We just had to take a quick break. Yeah, we're gonna swap topics. I think Alan, you said you had the lead on this.
Well, I wanted to talk about a couple things. I guess we'll start off first with Arch Manning declaring his route to go to the University of Texas, be a Longhorn,
Yeah,
and
I think
a lot of people, around the campfires, like they're pretty sure that's where he was going to go because it was about 3 or 4 months ago. We knew he wasn't going to Bama because Saban recruited this other young kid.
yeah. What was his name? It was like Malachi something.
It's Malachi, yeah, something Malachi.
I can't
The
quite
state,
remember what that kid's name was.
yeah, because after our current QB, Ty Simpson is going to be the
Yeah,
no-brainer.
right. Yeah, him and the other guy that actually played. He was on second team. He played second team in the A-Day game.
Oh yeah. I forgot about he's another Jalen.
Jalen Mills, is that his name?
Melrose. It starts with an M. I'm not
Yeah,
quite sure.
it is Melro. You're right.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
I did get a big jest out of Mr. Lane Kiffin.
Oh, really?
He tried to legally bribe Arch Manning to come to Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah, dude. Of course.
Oh
I
my god.
I don't
That's
remember the
him all
exact
over.
tactic, but it was laughable. I was like, Lane, shut the fuck up.
That's what he's all about, dude. That's what
Okay.
that's
Get,
him.
get your popcorn ready.
Yeah, really.
Popcorn ready.
But no, I mean, that makes a lot of sense though, because Texas has probably endless money. They got all those damn boomer like uh alumni that boosters that have like shitloads of money, like oil barons and shit, that
Mhm.
they can just pay him whatever he wants.
And I also think Arch wanted to, even though he's going to be in the SEC, I think he just wanted to be his own self, as apart from his father and both of his uncles.
Right. Yeah, I kind of figured he was not gonna go um the route that his dad or uncle did. I was like, he's gonna make a name for himself, and it may not be Alabama, which I wouldn't mind having him at Alabama, but that's the thing is with all the hype that's around him, around that type of quarterback, that could go wrong, quick, especially in the locker room. That
Oh yeah.
dynamic.
Well, that's the one thing. Yeah, you could be the most talked about, recruit in the country, but the fact of the matter is, how are you going to be in the locker room? Are the other players going to take you in, and how can you actually be a leader to them?
Right. He's gonna come in as this hot shit kid, freshman,
Mhm.
and he's gonna be expected, "Oh, you're making all this money, and we're not making as much money as you are,"
Uh,
Yeah.
which and that's the argument now with
well,
I know.
NIL.
hold on
NIL.
now. He is a Manning, and they stay humble as fuck. So he'll get the
Well,
damn
yeah,
belt
but
after him if he acts up or anything.
oh, I mean, I'm sure, but, like, that's just insane that he's gonna come in as an 18-year-old kid and making probably multi-million dollar
Mhm.
money first year.
Yeah, but he's filling them damn stands and has viewers on them. So I mean, give it to
Oh,
him.
yeah, for
Shit.
sure. That'll be the first time that Texas has had anything of note
Since
happen to
Vince
them.
Young
Yeah,
That's
him,
or
young.
Colt
yeah,
McCoy.
but, yeah, before that, yeah, it was Colt McCoy and then I think, Matthew McConaughey before that.
Yeah. Arch, welcome. Got the Lincoln filled up for you outside, bud.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell
They're gonna be
yeah.
yeah,
All right.
riding around through Dallas, but like, "Yeah, Orange, we keep getting older,
Yeah.
but these girls, they're the same age."
I
I
mean, it's just
mean,
going to be like by the time Texas and Oklahoma actually do get into the SEC for play, hell, it's going to be a. I don't know if he'll be a sophomore. It might well.
I think he might be a junior because
He might
they'll
be. I
be,
was thinking junior because obviously he's not playing this year. He's
right.
uh, still in high school.
He'll be a freshman, fall of 23,
Yeah,
sophomore, fall of 24, and then they enter the SEC for play for
yeah.
football in fall of 25. So he'll be a junior.
So he could just possibly play 1 year of SEC football and then just bounce.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he'll
Mm.
be playing against Oklahoma and all those other so he's gonna have, like, incredible stats, I'm sure, with
Yeah,
playing against Big 12 defenses.
and I'm actually now that I think about it, I actually really want to see it because remember for the longest time, Texas and Texas A&M were a huge rivalry, and that went
Oh,
away
yeah.
when A&M and Missouri came to the SEC.
Yeah.
So now that's coming back. I actually want Arch Manning to whoop the shit out of A&M.
Well,
And
who
Oklahoma.
yes, for sure, Oklahoma, fuck them. Sorry for any Oklahoma fans, but I'm just there's just so much going on with
It's just
Oklahoma.
all that fucking stink with the all that fallout between Jimbo and
Oh, yeah, for Texas
yeah,
A&M?
yeah,
Well, I mean,
and
yeah, that all that is gonna cause a toxic environment, and I think that it's probably not gonna change anytime soon,
no, it's
you
not.
know? Um,
Even the players are shit talking each other.
oh, yeah. Dude, now that I'm telling you, now that they make money like that, that's what money does to you, and that's
Mhm,
why I agree somewhat with the NIL. I agree that the players should be paid some amount of money. I don't think it should be in the millions of dollars because that shit goes to your head, and it should be
mhm,
about getting an education and playing football and having fun. But now they're gonna think, "Oh, well, I make, you know, $20,000,000 and this dude that's talking shit to me, he only has 600,000.
mhm.
Like, I'm big money, bro."
It's,
Like
there's now like a hierarchy,
right,
and it shouldn't be there. I know some of the kids. It doesn't. They won't let them get to that. Yeah, they're making money, but some of them it doesn't go to their head. Now some of them do.
right, but it's a lot of those kids come out of, like, bad environments, they come out of
Yeah.
bad neighborhoods, and they're like, "Well, and I'm making all this money now, so I'm big shit." Everybody's telling them, "Oh, you're the greatest. You're this or that." It's like, "Not really, dude."
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna make all this money in college, play 2, 3 years, and then say, "Okay, I'm out. I'm going to NFL and make like legit money." Gonna play a year and you're gonna realize what real football's about.
Hmm. Well, that kind of happened with Josh Jacobs. Yeah, he was a humble dude, but he lived a lot of his life with that back of his car,
Yeah, yeah,
and he had a little daughter to take care of as well. he was one of the exceptions. Well, his first, I think this might be his fourth year with the Raiders.
Yeah.
Um, his first couple years, man, he was killing it. But last year, he was just so injury prone.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
that's usually how the running backs go.
yeah.
You know, they don't have a real long shelf life, but
But like
they're big time.
I mean, he put in the work, man. He didn't let it get to his head. Of course,
Yeah.
NIL wasn't there when he was at Alabama, but I mean, he appreciated the the opportunity. And of course, you get hurt, you get hurt.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too. It's like all the players at Alabama, you're looking at like all these players now that are like at USC and all this other stuff that played for USC, and they're like, okay, well, if I was getting paid back then, I would have been playing so much better. It's like, well, look at the players now. They have good coaches.
Mhm.
I'm not just trying to point out Alabama just because I'm a fan, but I'm just saying like if the players have a good coach that actually makes them better and makes them better for the next level,
Mhm.
sometimes that's more valuable than money.
It
And
is.
they're more thankful for that, like being brought up in that system and getting ready for the NFL, getting ready for a long career than they
Mhm.
were of, okay, I'm just gonna make this quick money in college with NIL and then go play a couple seasons in NFL, be done.
Yeah. And facilities also come into play because you don't want to go to a college that's a shithole stadium, or
Right,
you have is just barbells to lift and stuff like that. You actually want
right,
to have the facilities to help you get in tune, and the coaches that will help you learn how to get in tune, do it the right way, get it right, get it tight.
right. Now there was one more thing I did wanna bring up while we were on the sports topic, just to kinda round it out here. It's that Ole Miss, man. I know Trey, your Auburn Tigers were in there for a while, um, but
Yeah.
Ole Miss brought out that NCAA, baseball championship or World Series.
Mm.
Do you know how much they raised money-wise in charity? They
Wait, what?
raised for Ole Miss because they have a charity board in Omaha, and people come in, they buy Jello shots, and that goes to charity for, like, odds against who they think's gonna win the World Series. So, Arkansas and Ole Miss as a collective raised $26,000 for charity to say that Ole Miss would win, and, they did. It's a place called Rocco's in Omaha, and, it's called the Jello Shot Challenge. So, basically, you come in, you buy a Jello shot, you say who you think's gonna win, that money's put
Oh, I
in their
did read
pot.
about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it ended up being, like, over 10,000 Jello shots.
Damn.
I'm getting crunk.
Yeah, dude, it showed it
Jesus.
when they actually won and they marked it through, like, 10K, and everybody's like, "Oh my god." Like,
That's
Omaha was about to get lit.
lit, like littier than a tittier, man. I mean, woof. Like those Josh thoughts, they can sneak up on you, bro.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Like, well, the quickness,
it's like eating a damn pot brownie.
pretty much.
Like, a couple hours later, you're fine, and a couple hours later, it's like, "Whoa."
Hmm. I mean, you'd be sitting down like on a couch. I mean, you'd be doing, shots left and right. You feel fine. The moment you stand up,
Oh,
you're
yeah. Yeah.
head first in the fucking floor, man.
Oh, for sure. And I know, Trey, me and you had talked about I think it was episode 2, maybe. We were talking about how crazy baseball's gotten recently, and, I did know something crazy that happened recently, is that the Astros, which I absolutely hate the Astros because,
Boo hiss.
yeah, they've bunch of damn cheaters, but anyway, they no hit the Yankees.
Oh, stop. You're breaking my heart.
Well,
That
here's my
really
problem
pissed
with
me off.
that. like you can sit back and say, "Oh wow, that's impressive," but then again, it's like, God, that must have been a boring fucking game.
But yeah,
I think baseball fans are fucking bored at this point. I was watching Barstool post a thing. Was it the Angels and Mariners got into a huge fight? And
yeah.
it's like at this point, it's like, is this telegraph? Like, is this like scripted? Because the punches are
I
soft
was
as
like, I
fuck.
thought I was like,
I'm
is
like,
this
all
the
right,
UFC
let me
now?
yeah, let me say
Yeah.
something. Hang on, let me say something though. Like hockey, at least they sell that shit. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I
Oh
mean, them
yeah,
dudes
for
are
sure.
throwing down. This
Well, it's
fight was
expected.
like a bunch of douches meeting in the middle playing grab ass. The fans were even like, dude, the guy was at a point of view. Like, go watch it on Barstool. It's hilarious. He has his phone out and he's just like holding it. And I don't even know if there's audio, but a guy like fans are walking by him, like going to the concession. They could give two shits about the fight. Like a dude has pizza just walking by. I'm like, cause it's just silly. It's like, bro, you're fighting over like what are you fighting over? Like I
Yeah,
mean,
Testosterone.
uh it's like stop trying to make it aggressive. Like, dude, this shit
yeah.
was only aggressive when y'all were juiced to the gills, knocking homers into fucking outer space.
Mm-hmm.
About Randy Johnson, yeah,
It's funny,
like
dude.
knocking
Watch
birds
it.
out of the
It's like,
sky.
wow, these fans don't give a fuck about this fight. Like they could like, wow, really, we're coming to this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah.
please just end the game already.
That's the thing, though. It is something that's really hard to do, though. I mean, that's the eighth time they've been no hit, and the seventh time was in 2003, but the sixth time was 45 years before that. So, like, it's few and far, between. But I'm just, I was like, well, it's the Astros, but then again, the Yankees are not my cup of tea either. But
Well, they're my
Astros.
favorite team, so hush.
Huh.
I mean,
well,
I root for both the Yankees and the Braves.
yeah,
More along the lines of my upbringing because my mom would watch every single Braves game, and
yeah.
I got so big into it, I would just went into the lore of the OG, Yankees team with Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio,
Oh yeah, dude.
just all those, and I just kind of fell
Legends.
in love with it, and I've been a Yankees fan ever since I was a little boy.
Yeah.
But seeing how the Yankees are playing this year, I don't see how they're not going to be in the World Series.
Well, that's kind of the thing is they play like that almost every year, and they just fall
Well,
flat at the end.
well, sometimes they start off playing like garbage, and then they make a big run. They'll make the playoffs, and then they'll shit themselves in the playoffs.
Right. But now that it's a worldwide, but there's both divisions now use the designated
DH,
hitter. Yeah.
yeah, same
So
thing.
now it just kind of takes it away, and it makes it okay. Now every team has the same amount of, like,
Yeah,
there's no handicap. Like if an American League team comes to play a National League team, you don't have to have the pitcher bat.
yeah,
So I mean, it's all leveled out. But you know, but yeah, I wanted to hit upon that because we were
yeah.
that was kind of breaking as far as like what's been going on recently. Um, but yeah, I mean that pretty much wraps it up for me. Do you guys have anything else you want to touch on before we
Um,
close her
I,
out?
I was. How much more time do I have left? Oh, well, I mean, I could save this for next episode. I just wanted to give a quick, quick. What the?
A
What am I
queef?
saying? A
Mm.
quick, bro.
You want to give it a
I
queef?
just wanted to give just a quick, shout out to Bill Clark, the head coach for the UAB Blazers, retiring.
Oh yeah,
Um,
dude,
yeah.
legend.
So before he came along, UAB only had 3 Division I seasons,
Yeah,
like winning seasons, their
yep,
entire history in the Division I. And that's the reason why the university just straight up just tanked the whole football program to begin with. They just shut it down.
yeah,
And Bill Clark, around Birmingham, he's been coaching high school football for years and years and years. And he straight up went to the university, big dick swinging.
oh yeah,
Let me talk to you guys. If you bring this football program back, I guarantee you wins. Guarantee them. And the university let him, He's never had a losing season.
Yeah.
He's
I
won
mean,
the Conference USA title twice.
Gammon Youth Stadium
yeah.
because he was
His
winning.
shit is.
I mean, think about
That
it.
old
Yeah.
stadium that they were playing in was a piece of
Legion Field.
Legion Field was
Yeah, dude. Legion Field's
disgusting.
old, falling apart. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about time they got something new.
Now they got Garth Brooks selling that bitch out. I mean, really.
Yeah.
His
So-
Scientology ass. I think he's Scientology. He's a part of a cult or something. That dude's like, don't get me wrong, Garth. Like, I know we're going off. I didn't mean to. Speaking of Garth Brooks, like, has a bunch of bangers, but something's just not right with the dude. I know if you're a
Well,
Garth
if
Brooks
you watch him
lover.
on Instagram or anything, he's just like,
I mean, when he was out
hey
there,
guys,
yeah, this with his hat on, like trying to look like he's fucking 30 years old. And yeah, so this stadium right here, the way it's designed, we're gonna record live here. I'm gonna hold him against that. If he doesn't come out and record live CD in that stadium, he's full of shit. Like, yeah, he just like completely conned y'all. Like,
you heard it here first. Hot take, Trey Miles.
bro, dude, Garth Brooks. That's a whole conspiracy and episode I can get into with that weirdo.
Yeah.
Well,
But it's
maybe-
like Tom Cruise. Like, hey, he's a fucking damn good entertainer. I'll give him that.
yeah. Maybe we'll get into that in episode 5.
We'll see if y'all want it. I can definitely get into some weird Garth Brooks shit. God, he does not know how to make like a social media post to save his life. It's just so creepy.
No,
and cringy.
it is creepy. Very, yeah.
I think he's got to be into something like Scientology shit. Like he's got to be. I think he's only younger.
Yeah. I heard
like,
in his balls like damn Tom
Dude,
Cruise.
have you ever seen him like flip? He flips his shit on like his crew and stuff, like Tom Cruise does. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Why
He's
does that
like,
not surprise me?
dude, dude, when you're that famous, it's just like, oh, you don't have a grasp on the reality at all. Like
No.
everything's just the
Yeah.
world's a stage.
Exactly. That's
It's
all
like
it is.
Tom Cruise losing his shit on the set of Top Gun when people weren't wearing their masks. Like he literally lost his shit.
Yeah.
Was
He
like,
was screaming. Yeah,
we're out
like-
here trying to make millions of people happy. Millions of people are dependent on us. And like, just like he fired people. Like, he's the actor. He's not even the director of the movie. He don't even run the studio. He's just the actor, and he's able to fire people. Like, holy
yeah.
shit! Like it's like Tom Brady going out there being like, the hell, he's probably the reason old buddy stepped down, Bruce Arians. He's like, yeah, dude, I got this shit. Like, what do you do? I'm out here running this damn
Yeah,
offense.
dude,
You're just sitting there with your little heart monitor around your chest, not.
Yeah, at this point, Tom Brady doesn't need a damn head coach.
Like how Peyton was in Denver. He didn't
Yeah.
fucking need John Fox.
So I'm
John
just gonna
Fox
call
is a-
my own plays, bro. You just sit over there and let the camera look
Yeah.
at you.
I think there's a conspiracy behind Garth Brooks. I really do. Like I'm telling you, dude, that guy's a weirdo. I feel like he's a reptilian for sure, just like Tom Cruise.
Reptilian?
Yeah, for sure. Will Smith, reptilian.
Is what actors do you know that are of the reptilian species?
Bro,
This and all next on episode 5.
Yeah, these famous people are getting weird and shit's getting out of hand. I'm telling you.
All right, well that's it. You heard it here. Episode 5 will be reptilians.
Doubt it. They have their weird Hollywood parties where they're probably sacrificing kids and shit and drinking their blood. Yeah. I just opened up Pandora's box with this shit.
Yeah, really.
That's,
Well, fellas,
They
we're gonna
can
have to close it out for tonight.
yeah. All I know is keep that reptilian shit out west. Don't bring it over here.
Agreed.
Fucking shape shifting lizards.
Yeah.
You
All
can't
right,
tell me
well.
Mark Zuckerberg isn't like some sort of android.
He already looks like something's wrong with him.
Yeah, we're smoking meats. Meta, like he called Facebook Meta. Like, what kind of shit is that, bro?
Well, that's
you've had
that's
We're
yeah.
so fucking
Meta.
stupid.
Instagram. This episode of Between Three Beards is sponsored by Meta.
That's
Give
his
us money.
yeah.
Meta. Yeah, with his butt cushion at the court appearance and all that shit. Fuck, that was weird. Hey, I will say, movie Shellstone Network is a good movie though. That's good.
That was a good
Well,
movie.
Yeah,
We now know how Trey feels.
yeah, dude.
Any closing remarks?
Like, bro,
Alan?
you make hundreds of millions, these actors and stuff. It's like to pretend to be somebody. Like, yeah, they're good at it. I watch a lot of movies, but don't, remember you wipe your ass just like me. I don't know. Maybe some of these people just have someone wipe their ass for them. Maybe that's the problem. Like they're so used to someone catering for them their whole life.
It's okay. It's okay. Calm down.
Yeah, all of them taking their trips to Epstein Island and shit.
Alan, do you have any closing remarks?
No, I just wanted to give mad respect to Bill Clark. I
I heard
mean,
that.
I hate it for him. He's retiring because he's having a spinal fusion.
Oh,
Damn,
yeah.
I'm about to say he's not that old, is he?
No, I think he's like
I think he's like
he's
late
gotta be in
40s.
his-
Well, he set the blueprint for that university and their program. So hopefully, whoever they bring in doesn't.
Yeah, the interim coach is going to be the offensive coordinator. And I think he had a press conference yesterday. I think it was yesterday. About how the accolades that Bill Clark had and how he intends to keep up his progress pretty much. And
Yeah.
I mean,
I think they'll be fine because, like you said, the blueprint that he laid, I think they'll be fine from here on. They just need to get good direction.
Yeah, the only really problem I see with their team coming in next year is their defensive line. They've got a real good running back. They get a pretty solid quarterback. I think he was a transfer. Their linebackers and then their secondary are pretty well rounded. But as long as they can just keep up this momentum, man, they're still going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Right.
Yep. I just wanted to give them mad respects and just want to let them know, Birmingham fam.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, shout out to UAB. My boo thing works there. Still work right now. So
good stuff.
My fiance, soon to be wife. Yeah.
Well, you can't swear at my fiance.
That's right, my fiance. I'll have to check out a game this fall, man. Yeah, especially that new stadium. Because the sound, the way it projects, we're going to make this new album recording here. I'm going to hold him against that. I'm like, if he doesn't do it, I'm like, y'all are a bunch of idiots believing him for that shit.
Yeah, he was talking out of his ass.
Fucking God. Don't get me wrong, he has bangers. Like when I hear someone on karaoke, butchering the fuck out of it, or blaming on my roots. When that shit starts up, it's like, yeah, raise hell, praise Dell. You know what I mean? But
that might be what we'll cover in the next one. Is
me and my pop culture movie bullshit, and my how I feel about method acting and reptilian elite and all that shit.
Oh yeah. Well, guys, guess we'll go ahead and close it down for episode 4. This has been great.
Go see Black Phone this weekend. Please give it all the views it needs. Fuck Lightyear. Go see Black Phone. That's another reptilian bullshit. Pixar. We know what you're doing with this woke cancel culture shit. Yeah. My buzz is Tim Allen, and he don't. Yeah, exactly. He only swings one way. I mean, nothing against that, but I'm just saying, like, don't stop with your nonsense woke cancel culture bullshit. Just fuck, man. At the end of the day, this is America. Let's keep shit.
Speaking of America,
all right, Alan, we got it. We got to end it off.
This upcoming weekend's 4th of July. Everybody be careful. Everybody be safe.
Don't blow your dick off.
Don't blow your don't lose some digits over some bullshit firecracker.
Yeah, no dicks or hands blown off this weekend.
Yes.
Don't go Jason Paul Pierre, whatever the fuck his name is, or
Jason Pierre Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Pierre. That was close.
All right. Well, this has been the Between Three Beards podcast, and thank you for listening. And we'll see you next time. Say goodbye, guys.
Later.
Bye, Felicia.
Thank you for listening.